You gave me fever. No need to tell me all. Your eyes I always remember. I wrote you on and on. You never gave me an answer. Am I the only one? I didn't know it was over. Take care of you. Take care of you. I didn't know it was over. Take care of you. Take care of you. I wrote you on and on. You never gave me an answer. Am I the only one? I didn't know it was over. Take care of you. Take care of you. Take care of you.
Hello, everybody! Welcome to the live stream. I'm super excited to have you here today so we can talk about a very amazing topic, to me at least, because we can finally start traveling, especially in Singapore. And we all know that traveling and planning for travel can be very tedious, can be very tiring, and just can be a very frustrating experience, especially when you have to do it with other people. So I wanted to spend the time here today to show you how I plan for my upcoming trips and show you exactly how we can build a Notion template together within an hour to really make the best use of our time, our resources, and ensure we have one place for all our travel needs now and in the future. So let's jump straight into it and let's show you how it works. So before we build any template, I like to go into the why, what, and hows. And by the way, if you're joining us, this is our weekly segment when we go in and try to build something innovative and something useful for our lives to make our lives better, a process or a workflow or just some sort of template within our favorite productivity tools like Notion to really make life simpler and much more enjoyable. So for today, we're going to go ahead and build a travel template, which is going to really tackle the big problems of how do we make travel planning easy, right? Especially collaborative. How do we get many people to come together? How do we travel then when we are on the trip with certainty and clarity with everything that you need at your fingertips. We've all had the experience of having to dig through our emails, dig through various documents, just to find that one piece of information someone's asking for us at the border, at the counter, or wherever we are. So it's very, very important for us to have a central place where we can access everything we need so that everything's at our fingertips and we don't have to scramble and rush to get the information that we need. So what we're going to be building is a template to generate for new trips. You can think of it kind of like a workflow, right? So whenever we go on a new trip, we have to figure out how are we going to get there, right? These are the flights we're going to take, or the bus we're going to take, or the drive we have to make. And then we're going to have to figure out our itinerary. Where are we going? What are we going to see, right? What certain attractions are the things that we'd like to see and we like to be at, right? What else do we have to prepare? Packing. What do we have to pack for this trip, right? Are we visiting family and therefore we need to bring certain gifts for them? So there's a lot of things that we can really make this more robust and make this process as painless as possible and hopefully very repeatable. And obviously we want to have the ability to invite new people to plan together with us. So if we're going on a trip together with our loved ones, how can they help us do certain research? How can they put in their input so that we know what they are looking forward to in the trip? And we make sure that there is clarity and communication across all of us, right? So how we're going to build this database or this template is we're going to create three main databases that I call them. One is going to be the trips database, which is where we're going to have all the different trips that we're going on, that we're either planning or about to go on or already have went on already. So I think it's very nice for us to actually see all the different trips that we are, currently have gone on already. Obviously, packing list, right? What do we have to pack? And of course, the schedule as well to see exactly what is the scheduled itinerary for us, especially if we have to go from point to point. So let's get started and let's build this template. And again, we're going to try to build it within an hour so we can show you exactly what the power of Notion is and how we can really build up something from scratch, right? And hopefully by watching this, you'll learn how to build similar templates as well. So let's get straight into it. I like to build my templates within my system. Systems for a Better Life is just how I keep everything organized. And this is also how I share my tools with the world, especially those inside the CoX3 family. So how I'm going to get started is I'm going to go to the components section, right? I'm going to go there. And then inside the components, you can see I have a bunch of sections for different parts of our systems. I'm just going to keep this simple. I'm going to put it inside auxiliary databases. We're going to make this a new page. And we're going to call this one our, let's call it travel planning or travel tracker. Let's just call it travel tracker. Okay. I'm just going to add some quick things, like for example, a emoji, just because I know that this is how I'm going to keep track of this as we get more and more stuff in here. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab some of the other sections that I have just so that I can easily grab what I need. So give me a quick second. I'm just going to grab these things. So that's the how-to. We don't need that just yet. Useful views. We're also going to have that soon, so no need to worry. And then finally, we have the original databases, and that's where we're going to put that. Perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by defining all these different databases first. So we're going to create them here. So let's go ahead and define a database for trips. We're going to have a database for packing list. Okay. Packing list. And then for schedule, I think we can keep it here for now. We don't have to make anything too crazy. Let's go ahead and let's go and make these into pages. So turn into page and then turn into page, just like so. And then we'll make them more pretty later on. But for now, we have two nice databases for us to work with. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to make the views that we're going to use to look into these databases and put them as part of our useful views. So let's get started and let's put this as a trips section as first. And then what we can do is we can make a sync block here so that whenever we look at this view in the future, we can easily find it by just simply copy and pasting the link view anywhere we want. I'm going to show you a bit more about what this means, but for now, just know that these are some steps that makes it really easy for us to make new templates. So what I want to do here is paste this and nope, not mention page. I want to mention database. So let's go ahead and see how to make this a database. So we're opening this up now, and then we can see that we can make a table, which is what we want. And then we're also gonna make a table here. Perfect. So now when I paste trips, it'll create linked database, just like that. Very simple, right? So what I would like to do here is I'll probably want to make this into a gallery view, so it looks really nice as I go ahead and start planning my trips. And I'm going to put some certain categories here or properties that are going to help us make sense of all this data. So we obviously want the dates of the trip, right? So we're going to put dates of trip. And then we're going to go ahead and put perhaps people. So who's on this trip, who's going to go on this trip with us. So people is important. Instead of tags, let's call this places. What places do we want to travel? And of course, later on, we can actually have a master database, which encapsulates all these places so that we can see how many times we went to a specific place. More on that soon. But of course, we can also put down a status property. So we know that whether we are planning stage, whether we are idea, we booked it, we completed it, and so on. So status should be first, and let's put in all the different ones. So idea, let's say planning, let's say book, let's say completed, and then let's say canceled. So these are all our different states of this certain database. And then what we can do now is we can make sure that when we have an image for it, so let's say we go ahead and let's put a test, right? Let's say we have a Japan trip coming up, and we are very excited for that. Let's say it's going to be over Christmas, so that's a bit before Christmas, and then after New Year's. And if we add an image, for example, or let's add an icon first. I think that's there's a few Japanese things. Let's do this one, and then we can do Japan here. What we can do that's really nice, in my opinion, is we can change this view to show the card preview for the page cover. Now we can see the Japan trip just like that. And if we want to, we can see more details about like when are we going, who's going to go with us, where are we going to go, the status of this trip, right? So status I'll probably put down here, or even up here is fine. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the place, right? So Japan is one. Maybe we'll visit Taiwan as well and nearby, right? And then we can see that shows up there. So it's really, really nice. And of course, if different people are going, so I'm going to put my name in here. So you can see that maybe I'm going, maybe someone else is going. I'll put someone else's name. You can see it's really, really easy for us to just start planning this and see all our trips side by side. So let's keep one for now and let's show you how it works moving forward. And also I'm going to show you just as an example with more people. So I'm going to put maybe another one of myself, or maybe I'll put I'll put some people that maybe I'll put Anne, maybe I'll put Nadine as well. And let's put Vivian. We can see that it's expanding like so. Okay, so what we want to do here is we want to ensure that we have information that helps us really plan out our trip as we go on this, right? So what we call these are workflows. So the moment that we start a trip, what do we need to worry about? And usually the top things to worry about is, scheduling, right? I'm just gonna put these as point form so that we can work on these as we go bit by bit. Actually, let me put it into here. So the workflow, right? We'll have scheduling. So how are we going to get there, as I mentioned? And then we're going to also have itinerary. So what do we want to do there in terms of like sightseeing and all those kind of things? And then what we want to see is also information like, let's say, places to visit. So just planning out places to visit and stuff like that. So let's start from there, okay? And I love, Krissa, that you also have a use case for this. Awesome. I'll also try to provide this template for anyone who wants it after this live stream. So definitely stay tuned for that. I'm excited to share this, but of course, build together with me. I think it's a very fun process. So let's go ahead and let's start making a section. And here's where I'm going to talk a bit about when should you use a database, a table, or just use plain text? And I'll explain why each is important in each of these different situations. So when I first get started, right, I want to have a scheduling, right, which means that, it means that when we have, how are we going to get there, right? By plane, by car, by boat, whatever it might be. So these are the main things that we need to worry about in terms of major transportation. So I'm also make some notes. So it just is like major transportation, planes, boats, etc. Yeah. And then here was where we have scheduling, right? So let's put that as a big header. And then we're also going to have places to visit, so everyone can collaboratively talk about that. We can also just double check. We can also talk about our itinerary. So where are we going to go, right? So finalize itinerary. And then one thing I like to do is I also want to put some budget down, budgeting. And this is going to be very, very important because it helps us really just start planning it out. So places to visit, I'm going to do that, do this, and then finalize itinerary. Okay, so let's talk about why I'm going to use each different variants of, let's say a database or plain text. So for scheduling, I like to use a database. The reason really is very simple, is because I want to make sure that we are able to store this for future references as well. For example, like, hey, these are all the different flights I've been on, these are all the major transportations I've been on, and get that really easily on any page I want. So when I want to do that, it's very important for me to have a database so I can refer to it. The use case I'm thinking about is, for example, if I just have to immediately pull up a schedule that says, hey, what are all the flights I'm going to take in the next few months across all my different trips? This is a very easy way for me to see exactly that. And that's why it's very important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make something called schedule here. So I'll make a page called schedule. What happened? Page called schedule. Or I'm thinking of a better word, but like schedule details, I think is fine for now. But there's probably a better word. If you guys have any ideas, do let me know. But for schedule details, usually you have a check-in, right? So when you go into an airport, you have to check in. So you have a check-in, that's the checkbox, so you can see if that's done or not. We have the people probably, so who's going on this trip, who's going to be on this. So people is important. I also would like to put in, for example, the organization of the service provider. So for example, if it's going to be, I'll just use a Z. For example, if it's going to be a flight, maybe Spirit or maybe United Airlines or maybe any thing that you're using, Greyhound if you want, or a bus, right? Tags is going to be like airplane and stuff like that. So we can say like airplane, we can make bus, we can make etc., etc. So this is just something that's helpful for you to categorize the different sort of travel that you're on. Let's put that here. Let's also put down the, I think organization should be the name. Let me think about it. No, the name should be something like the exact trip information. So let's not do anything like about that for now. Date is important. Let's put date. Date. And then we're going to put location so we know where we have to be to get picked up. And then let's talk about booking reference number. And if we want, we can also put receipt. So just in case we need the receipt at any time, we can have that for us. So just like so, let's do a image. So file and media, so that's a receipt. So perfect. So what we have here is a very basic, honestly, system that will help us make sure that we have all our schedule details ready for us when we need to. So when I go into this scheduling space, I'm going to paste and create link database. What I can do is I can also make the link to this Japan trip. So I know that this specific schedule or the specific flight or whatever it is relevant for this Japan trip. Let's show you how that one works. So I'm going to do a filter here, and I'm going to add a filter for well, actually before the filter, I'm going to make a new property. I'm going to say trip, and this is going to relate to the trip database that we just made, right? Trips. And let's see if it comes up. Perfect. Trips. So what happens is, and you can see immediately this relation pops up here as well. You can see schedule. And what we can see here is that when we make a new item, after I make a filter, of course, so filter for trip contains Japan trip, we can go ahead and make a new item and it'll automatically populate this entry as well. So for example, right, I might have a flight. So flight to Japan is the details. Okay. Let's call this travel details. I like travel details. The booking reference number I'll put also near the front, so we can have this really easily to find out. And I'm just gonna make a random number, BR123591. And then what we're going to do is also the date. So when are we going to fly? So perhaps it's on December 4th, and it's going to include the time. Maybe it's 3 p.m. We're going to fly. That's the flight time. So we can talk about departure time, and then we can also make let's make a arrival time. So this is also important for us in case we want to also track the arrival time. So this can be optional, right? But it's especially important if you're tracking let's say your family's visits and your family's flights. A location, for example, I might be going from Singapore, right? And then Singapore Changi Airport, Terminal 3, for example. So this gives me really detailed information of where I need to go. Organization for this flight. So we can say the flight information is, we can say this is, let's say Japan Airline, Singapore Airlines, let's say Singapore Airlines, 1191. So then this gives me details on that. And then the people, let's say it was me going on this trip. So let's say that. And then receipt can be the receipt of the flight. So I can just save that there. So you can see this is really, really simple already, but gives me a lot of, useful information to help me really be able to know exactly what this trip is going to entail, right? In terms of of my major scheduling, how I'm going to get there. And you can see that as we keep adding more and more different schedule details, it makes it super easy for us to really just see all the different things that we need to do and the things that we haven't done yet as we go on. And we can do really awesome stuff like sorting, right? We can sort by departure time. So we can know that we are leaving at the right moment. So just to ascending. And then so we can see all the different things. Maybe we have a flight back to Singapore. I just want to show you this. Let's say again, it's, BC1111, whatever. The departure time maybe is going to be, let's say 1st Jan. And then we're going to include the time. Let's say this was 5 p.m. as well. And then we can go ahead and also schedule all these things out, right? So this is another airplane. Arrival time, again, maybe this one is going to be at Narita Airport. E1. And then again, we have SA whatever. And then we have myself again. And then you can have your receipt. So it makes it really, really simple for you to have your schedule. But not only just that, you can also share this with anybody that cares about you and wants to know your itinerary so that they can make sure that you're safe and you got to where you should be on time. I think this is really good as well to share with your loved ones and your family members so that they're on, in tune with your trip and how it's going. So that's the first section. And this is why I really recommend doing a table. And later on, I'm going to show you how to insert this into your template so that it automatically generates every single time. You don't have to worry so much about it. I want to take a quick break. I'm going to do some water. Do feel free to ask me any questions if you have any. But I really enjoy this process because it helps me think about what do I really need to keep track of when I'm doing a trip. Awesome. So what I want to do next is let's talk about places to visit. And this is where I would give a suggestion that you can really just make this into plain text. You don't need to make this in a database unless you want to be extra fancy. But for this, I would just say like, hey, let's say it was Conrad suggestions, and then I'll have a toggle for that. And then we can put, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. But if you do want to have like a voting kind of mechanism, I think this is something that you could do to enhance this template. So I'll give you two examples, right? So I'll give you simple. I'll give you a simple version. Simple brainstorming. Simple brainstorming. And then we're going to have also a complex or advanced brainstorming. Okay, so the advanced brainstorming, I'm going to just show you here, and I'm going to make this a new table within this page. You're going to see why that's important. Because I don't want to, I don't want to clutter like a master database for everything. So for here, we can do places to visit brainstorming, places to visit voting, let's say. And let's say that we have suggestions here, suggestions. Everyone will be here. Okay, let's do this. So everyone will be giving their own suggestions, right, under their own name. And then once you guys have come together and said that, hey, this is what we want to do, these are the things that's on the short list, right? What we can do is we can make this a voting section. So for example, so let's make some information here first. So we'll say, once you're done brainstorming, put the top options into places to visit and vote. So places to visit. Let's go ahead and make this our brainstorming section. So we can make this be status, and we can say brainstorming. And then we have status for voting as well. But I think what will be really cool here is also submitted by. And we can make this by automatic, so created by. So whoever creates a new item will have that there. But basically what we can do here is we can go ahead and make a few views. So right here, we're going to delete this for now. So we can say brainstorming. So let's filter by status is brainstorming. So for example, I might put as I want to visit some shrines. Maybe I want to visit a cat cafe. And of course, it'll be good to put like exact places. So example locations, location link. So let's do that right here. Location link like right here. And then what we can do here is let's put status here. Yeah, location URL. So it makes it really easy for us to put a link in there and put more details. So it gives it a chance for other people to put in all their information, right? So maybe I'll have like, there's this awesome cat cafe at, and then I can put all the details in there and then everyone can see it. I don't want to wrap cells. So we can just click on it and read it more. Same thing here is that I love shrines because, so this is the default view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this the brainstorming view, brainstorming. And then what we can do here in the second view, this is the voting stage. Okay. So for voting, we can put voting here, and then we can go ahead and make this filter is voting. So for example, if I'm inside the shrines and then we decide that, hey, we want to start voting on this thing, so we move this, and then let's say we move this. So in voting, we have these sections, right? And then what we can do is we can put votes. So votes, and then this can be people. And then what we can do here is everyone can vote for their favorite. And I can even create some additional properties that help you really keep track of like how many votes each thing has. So for example, maybe shrines has myself, and maybe it has Vivian, who's currently voting for this, right? So give me a quick second. I'm going to grab the voting formula that I already have because I think it's quite useful and I think you guys will enjoy it, and I'll throw it in here. Of course, guys can see that this is definitely the advanced version, right? And of course, if I'm building it for you, then you don't have to worry too much about it. I can just show you. But I think this is really, really cool. I really enjoy this as an option. So let's go ahead and find a version that will be helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and where is, I need to get one of my templates for this. Give me a quick second. Sorry, guys. Okay, there we go. I got the upload. So let's just put this. I'm just gonna make a new formula here, and you guys don't have to worry too much about learning this formula. I'm just going to paste it for you and you can just use it for yourself. But basically this formula will help us keep track or calculate all the different votes that are in there. Let's say votes, and now we have the number of votes we have. So number of votes. Okay. So number of votes, what we can do now is we can also sort by number of votes. So the more votes someone has, then it will show up first. So let's say number of votes. Descending. Perfect. So now you can see 3, 1, and so on. So we can see that this has a number of votes. So we can even put that at the front so we can see exactly how many. And then when we're done voting, what I think is really cool is that, and I think we can hide the submitted by because it doesn't matter when you're starting to vote. So what's going to happen is after we're done voting, we can even say that this is chosen, right? So they're the chosen one. So once they're the chosen one, you can have yet another section here. So we can say chosen, chosen. And here is where we can see all the different ones that have been chosen already. So you can see that we're making a really nice workflow here, right? When we're coming in, we can see that, hey, let's start brainstorming where we want to go. Then we start voting on it. And depending on which one's the most highly voted, then they're chosen. And this is, the people that have chosen. And I think the really cool thing about this is that we have the opportunity to go ahead and start assigning, like, when are we going to do these things, right? And just makes it really, really easy for us to plan out this itinerary to the best of our ability. So I'm going to put some quick notes here just for everyone to understand how this works. So I've used the brainstorming view to plan out, to put in ideas for different places to visit, change the status to voting for the most interesting locations. After voting, put the highest voted categories, options, change status to chosen. Use the chosen view to find out which locations matter most. Use the chosen view to plan out your trip itinerary. So for finalized itinerary, this is where I think it's super cool, and we'll talk about budgeting in a second. But for finalizing itinerary, what we can do now is we can see, hey, these are the places we have to go, right? So based on all of the chosen locations, create and itinerary. So what we can do here, and of course we can do it in many ways, but I think the easiest way for us is making it, a plain text. So what we can do here is like, for example, day 1, we do this, we do this, we do this. Okay. Day 2, we do this, we do this, we do this. So let's say day 2, like this, and then day 3. And I'm going to make a quick template here for you guys because I think this is going to be important. So what we can do here is we can say day 1, wake up time, or first, let's call this first stop, and then places to visit, getting around. So like what we can do here is just make like quick notes on where we're going to visit, what's the first stop for us, and time. So what I realized is when I travel, it's really important for me to know exactly what time do I have to wake up. So where's our first location and what time do we have to be there? So that's usually what I like to put down. Places to visit, obviously, are all the different places that we've decided, and we can organize them per day. Getting around, how do we plan to get around that day? Are we taking the bus? Are we going to take a car? Those are important information. And you can replicate this for every single day moving forward. So I think that this is super simple, right? What we can do here is I can make a new template button here that says new day. And then we can drag this whole section into here actually. And we can even make this into checkboxes so that we can check them off when we're done. So day X. So what's really cool now is we can have this section here. Let's see. Close this. New day, and then it'll make a new day. New day, make a new day. New day, will make a new day. So this is super awesome, super easy. You can use this however you like to make new days for you to have new itineraries. So I think this is super useful. So I'm going to make this more cleaned up. So just like so. Just like so. Find out where you want to go most. And of course, this methodology of fine-tuning exactly where you want to go, you can even do it by yourself. You don't have to do it for in the sense that you don't have to have other people voting together with you. You can even vote for yourself, but it's just super important to have all these different places mapped out in one place so that you can really see exactly what you want to do and where you want to go. That's a finalized itinerary. And then the last thing is budgeting. Budgeting is something I just really enjoy doing because I like to also throw in the budget that I want to spend at each place. So actually one thing I might do here is I might just, budgeting. So we can talk about budget categories. So we can say on the travel, how much you want to spend. So jot down the amount that you're prepared to spend for each component of the trip. So for example, travel, how much you're planning to spend, food, daily budget, shopping, and so on. So this makes it super easy for you to just really map out exactly how much you're going to spend, right? So 0, 0, 0. I'm just going to format this a bit for you guys. So food, shopping, and then we can say daily budget as well. Okay, so it makes it super easy for you to just really keep an eye out on how much you're budgeting, and this is a really simple way for you to keep track of that. Okay, so now that we have all these different sections, what we can do now is turn this into a template. So what I mean by that is I'm going to copy all this information, and then I'm going to go ahead and go back to trips. So I'm going to go back to my travel tracker, trips, and I see this drop down. I'm going to make a new template for trip. What this means is that every time I go on a new trip, this will automatically generate something for me that is going to help me make traveling and planning very easy. All the different things that we've already created just now. So what we can do here is we can see our scheduling. So instead of Japan trip, it's going to be for the new trip. So as long as it contains this new trip template, every time I generate one, it will automatically relate to that new trip. I'll show you how that works in a second. So we can see departure time, perfect. Places to visit. So we're just going to make this the places to visit database. So this is going to be an individual database per page, so it doesn't need to live in the travel tracker. The finalized itinerary, of course, we saw that already. Budgeting is all there. So now what happens is if I go ahead and I make a new trip, let's say I make a Germany trip, let's just say, and I'm going to make the status to be also planning, let's say, and then the dates, again, just put a few dates randomly. If I click on new trip, automatically everything gets created for us, right? And if I make a new schedule, let's say flight to Germany, you can see that it pops up at the top here. So it's really, really cool, really, really simple. And I hope you enjoy this component because it just makes it really easy for you to keep track of all the different schedules. And I'm going to show you how to create a linked view of that anywhere you want as well. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. I can see that all this brainstorming stuff is all there. Perfect. Finalizing itinerary and budgeting, all there. Awesome. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy the schedule details linked view. And of course, I can also make this a bit prettier just so that we have some examples here for us all to see. So let's put again my name here, and Germany is 1, and maybe we'll go to France as well, right? So yeah. So let's put Germany, just like so, or maybe a flag is more obvious. So what we have here is just the trip sync blocks. We have that, right? And then what we can do is later also put some filters in here. But for now, I'm also going to make a new one that says my schedule, my travel schedule or something like that. I don't know exactly what to call it, but let's call my schedule for now. Sync block, and then I'm going to paste that schedule. We can see the schedule details here, right? So I'm not going to put the filter for Germany trip. What I am going to do is I'm going to say where departure time has is on or after let's say 1 month ago. So what this means is that whenever we have a travel itinerary that is anything from 1 month ago onwards, will show up here so that we can show to anybody, right? Even for ourselves, we can put this on, for example, the convenience store dashboard, on any dashboard we like, and really easily see all the different major travel that we have to do in the very near future. And of course, you can also do the same for trips as well. And of course, if you check in, then you can see exactly what you've already checked in for and what you haven't. So it just gives you a really nice way to keep track of all your different itineraries. And then for trips, obviously, what we can do is also make a few views. So let's call this all trips. And then what I'm going to do is I'm also going to sort, just make sure I have a sort by dates, ascending. I'm also going to add a sort by status, ascending as well, or yeah, ascending is fine. And then what we can do is we can make a duplicate of this, and you can make as many iterations of this as you want. Honestly, this is all up to you, but you can say like, hey, these are all the trips that I'm currently booked, right? So we can say these are all the book trips. So we can do a filter and we can say where status is booked. And then you can have a view for all the ones that you've, completed and so on and so forth. I don't think I know exactly what you want, so I'll just make a few for you just to get started, right? So booked, completed, and of course we can also have one in planning as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Planning. So filter is planning. Perfect. So now we have all our trips here nicely put. So I think that's really cool. We have our schedule, and the last thing we have to do is our packing list. And I think our packing list is one of the most coolest templates I've made. Honestly, I really like it. I hope you guys do as well. And for schedule details, let's just put this as calendar. Let's make a calendar emoji. Okay, perfect. So for packing lists, let's talk a bit about that. I'm also going to make a new one for packing list. And then what we're going to do is we're also going to copy this link and then paste it, create link database. So for packing list, what I like to do with that is I want to have like a checklist of all the different things that I need to bring. So I'm going to have an item right here. I'm going to have a type. Is it clothing? Is it jacket? Is it tech? Whatever it might be. Pack is a check mark. And then I also want to put a something smart that lets me know that like whether or not I'm going to bring this on this coming trip. So I can put a pass as well. Okay, so pass is also going to be a checkbox. And then we can say that for this packing list. So for example, I might have a few clothing materials. So clothing, maybe I have formal pants, maybe I have sweatpants, maybe I have t-shirts. So what's important here is I also want to know the number of things I'm bringing, right? So let's put another one. Let's call this bring for 1 week. So if I'm going on a 1 week trip, these are the number of things I need to bring. Let's go ahead and put it like this. So whoops, I'll put it here. Yep. So if it's going to be for 1 week, I'll bring this many items. So if for 1 week, I'll bring just one pair of formal pants, 1 week, one sweatshirt, and 1 week, maybe I'll bring 3 t-shirts. You can also duplicate this, right? And then you can say bring, let's say, actually what I can do here, it'll be better. What we can do is per week. X per week. So it's 1 per week, 1 per week, 3 per week. If it was your trip is 2 weeks, then you could just multiply that and then you can get your number that you should be bringing. So what's really cool here is you can have all this is clothing, and let's say I just add some more things like maybe I add my headphones, right, which is something for technology. Maybe I'm bringing my charger. Charger is important, right? Charger is important. Bring 2 of those maybe, and then it's tech. Maybe I have something about, you know, my ID. So foreign, or maybe passport, right? Passport, I need to bring 1 of those, and that is documentation. Documentation. So this makes it really easy for me whenever I'm heading out to have like a very simple checklist to see exactly what do I need to pack. I'm going to add a sort here that's even going to put like a path by ascending. Excuse me, and then also by the type, so it's all put together. So what happens is as I check them off, they'll get passed to the bottom, and I know exactly if I brought them or not on this trip. And at the end of a trip, I can uncheck them to make sure I brought them back. So I think that's really, really cool, really, really simple, and a really good demonstration of how, you know, Notion can work for you. Like it's really simple way to use a system, but it's a really powerful way for you to make sure that you have all these things wherever you need them. And of course, like before, I'm going to make this a sync block so that I can put this anywhere that I want. And of course, pass also means that it doesn't have to show up. So pass also means that it can be sorted downwards. So let's go ahead and let's do a filter actually for that. Actually, if it's not packed, then I can put pass also ascending. What happens is, let's say I pass on this, then that also drops down, so I don't need to worry about it. But I know that I didn't bring it on this trip, so I think that's super, super important. Also, let's put some stuff like just another example would be like, you know, face wash 1, and this will be toiletries. So you can see this getting more and more powerful here. Okay, cool. So the last thing I want to show you is how we can embed these into any pages that we'd like. So a good example I have for you, I'll give you 2 good examples. One would be if I want to put them inside various dashboards. And the other one will be if I want to put it inside, for example, one of our masters and trackers. So let's show you that. So I'm going to go to all my dashboards, and let's say my daily driver, for example. I'm going to go to one of our L control exclusives because I really like them. And let's open up the convenience store, and let's also open up let's say daily planning. Let's say that. So inside a convenience store, what we can do is we can add a new section, right? Just to show you. And I can do a new section and I can call this trips, upcoming trips, or just call this trips, right? Or let's call it schedule, a trip schedule. Okay, there, trip schedule. So what we can do here is, because we already have the travel tracker ready, we can just go to trips, or sorry, not trips, this one's schedule. Open this up, open this up like this, copy and sync, just like that. And then go ahead and go to this dashboard of convenience store, paste it in here. And now we instantly have the same exact view that we built already. And then we can have this in a very nice way that we can see on our phones, right? So this makes it super, super simple for us to bring any sort of database and view to any page that we want. And that's why I decided to go with a database for this instead of just going plain text, because this helps us spread this information around wherever we want. Another way that we can use this, I'm just going to delete this because I don't need it personally. I can go to the daily planning page and I can say, okay, on top of all these things that, I need to focus on and everything, what are my trips that are coming up, right? So what I can do is I can just find an empty section if I wanted to, right? And I can call this trips. Well, I don't even call it anything actually. I can just paste the trips section right here. So copy and sync. And I can just paste that, and then boom, I have the trips component here, and I can see all the different trips I am going on, about to go on, and so forth. I think also very, very powerful. Again, just use any dashboard you like, but for now, I'm just showing you an example with our dashboards. And the last thing I want to show you is if I decide to create a new template, I like to put it inside one of my areas of competence. This is a place where I can store all the different things that are relevant to a specific area of my life that I want to grow and build, for example, travel. And then here I can make a new area of a new tracker. And what we can call this is we can say trips tracking tracker, right? I'm going to add some small things like, a flight, add a cover, maybe a vacation, just something nice for me to put down there. I can get used to it. And then this database will keep track of, and then what we can do is we can reference the travel tracker here. We can easily find it in one place. So I'm going to link to page, travel tracker, and we can add more to-do items if we need to do anything about this on a monthly, bi-weekly, quarterly basis, or so on. So yeah, that's it from me, guys. I hope you guys really enjoyed what we just built. As a recap, we've built a very, very nice custom database that helps us create a workflow when we have an upcoming trip. So when we ever have an upcoming trip, we can easily plan out the trip that we are going to go on. We can see easily what's been planned, what's booked already, what's completed. When we open up each one, we can see the different schedules that we have. So for example, if I go to Japan trip, because we've done that one already, you can see our flights there, our flights back. We can see a very nice brainstorming section for us to not only brainstorm, but also vote and then decide what we choose to go on. And then also create a finalized itinerary with our various template options for different things we're going to do per day, where we want to go, what's our first stop, where we're going to get around, and also our budgeting categories if we want to really make sure that we have enough funds to have the best experience possible. So that's it from me. Thank you guys again so much for joining us here. It's really exciting to be building together with you guys every single week. So definitely stay tuned and join us again next week at this time. We start at 9 p.m. Eastern on every Friday. Aside from that, please do check out our Systems for a Better Life. We're here to try to help you live a better life with systems that we've distilled from the best of knowledge that we can capture, from books to podcasts to videos online. That's it from guys.